So I always tell people, like, if you're going into nursing, make sure it's something you really want to do, because one day will never look like the next day. Things can be really like night and day within the same shift. So I remember during my first, oh my gosh, my first year of nursing. So of course, like, water behind my ears, very green, still learning the ins and outs, and whatever you do in nursing school is never really like the real thing, right? It is always hands-on experience that really matters the most. So I say that because there's things that they can teach you, textbooks and teachers can teach you, but when you get out into the real world, dealing with real patients, with real people, it can look completely different. I remember one incident. Okay, so actually, let me go back a little bit. When I was hired, my first nursing job, this was in, I won't say the hospital's name, but you can take a very good guess. This was in Miami, Florida, at a teaching hospital. That alone is going to narrow it down to like 1 to 2 hospitals. So when I say teaching, I'm talking about your highest level of trauma, where they do a lot of transplants, where they take people from the Caribbean, they will medevac them because a lot of the Caribbean nations could not treat certain things that may happen, and they would have to medevac them to this particular hospital. So if you know the Miami area, you might have a good idea where this hospital is. Anyways, I was hired for the night shift. So as a brand new nurse, I did my training alongside my preceptor in the day shift, and then after 12 weeks I switched to nights. A lot of nurses, especially those who have children, prefer to work in the morning shift, the day shift. When I started nursing, it was 8-hour shifts. Now they're doing 12-hour shifts, right? Most places. But at that time, it was 8-hour shifts. So I was hired from the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. So after my training, I switched over to the night shift. At the time, I wasn't even dating anyone. I had no kids, wasn't married, So I was like, yeah, that's fine. And you get more pay. So really the hardest part was just trying to stay awake and change your circadian rhythm, because of course I was just used to staying up in the daytime. So we were on a medical surgical unit, med-surg unit, and our floor was on the 8th floor, if I remember. And for that unit, that building, because a hospital has like not many buildings, but it's not like one regular, rectangular building. It's kind of like this. So some floors go as high as like 4 and 5, like a different wing. Other wings will go higher. My wing went up to 8 floors, and it just so happens to be the highest floor of that wing. Now, we were told that the security guard, I think twice a day, is to come around and make sure the door that leads to the roof of that building is locked. Right? That's supposed to be the security guard, and I believe the charge nurse, when they change shifts, is supposed to also check it. We had a patient up there. Oh my gosh, a young guy. I think he was psych. He wasn't there for psych reasons. He wasn't there because he was mentally unstable. He was there because of other medical conditions, but we knew that he was mentally unstable. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he had a sitter. Well, all I know is I heard commotion. He wasn't my patient, but I heard a lot of commotion in the hallway. So, of course, like, the nurses, you peek out of your there as well. They're not allowed to talk to you. You're not allowed to talk to them apart from introducing yourself and telling them what you're about to do. When that's when I had to do dialysis on them. So, back to being in the dungeon. I'm in the dialysis unit, and I was, I think, 8 to 9 months pregnant, working. This was with my second child, I think, my son. I was like 8 to 9 months pregnant, so I was good and big, but still working. And we had a patient that we called frequent flyers, and that's a term that nurses, hospital staff use with patients who come to the hospital a lot, not because they are getting sick or they have a chronic illness. I mean, this person had a chronic illness, right? He had kidney failure, but we say frequent flyers when they're not taking the preventative measures to keep them out of the hospital, i.e., he was not going to his dialysis outside of the hospital. He just wouldn't go. And if you're not going in a matter of like a week or two, you're coming in the hospital. And this is what this guy did. He would show up when he wants to show up. If he didn't feel like going this week or only wants to go one day in a certain week to the outside clinic for the dialysis, your body doesn't respond that way. You need to be dialyzed about 3 times a week. He wasn't doing that. So that's when we coined the term a frequent flyer. When you're not doing the things you're supposed to do, so you know you're going to end up back at the hospital. And that's what he did. So he comes into the ER. They said he needs dialysis. It doesn't have to be stat. It doesn't have to be right now, but he does need to get on the schedule today. So we said, okay, we'll fit him. We have a time slot at this particular time that we can get him in. This guy came, he walked down from his floor, came to our unit. All the patients are on the machines. He says, I want to be dialyzed right now. We're like, you need to wait until you're called for. There's people on the machines, and because you are not a stat treatment, we have people in queue. You know, there's people that are going to surgery, they need to be dialyzed before. There's people coming out of surgery, or if they have contrast, they need to be dialyzed after. There's all sorts of things. So as long as it's not a stat treatment, we're gonna fit you in today, but it won't be right now. No, he wasn't having it. So again, I calmly explained, because we knew this guy, right? So I calmly explained to him, sir, you have to wait. We're gonna call you your schedule to go on. Like it was like 2 p.m. or something he's scheduled for. No, he comes up in my face. I want my bleep dialysis right now, bleep. Mind you, I'm the only girl there. There was another nurse, another guy nurse, which he was also like timid, and you know, he was trying to stand up for me, but he wasn't really trying to stand up for me. And I kept my hand on my belly, and I said, let me tell you, like me, I try to be professional. I really do try to be professional. But at the same time, you're not going to disrespect me nor disrespect these patients that are getting dialyzed, right? So, who was it? It was our biomed guy, our guy that like fixes the machines. He jumped in between me because he saw me and the guy like this, and I said, if ever this guy, my hand is on my belly, right? But I said, if ever this guy touches me, all hell is going to break loose. So the guy came in front of me, and then I was like, you know what? I got something for you. So my friend came in front of me, was like, you need to calm down, etc., etc. I picked up the phone. I said, code gray dialysis. Boom. What that does is it goes to, you call the operator. You tell them the code for security. It goes to the whole hospital system in a matter of 1 minute, because they were like dialysis. In a matter of 1 minute, I had like respiratory coming. I don't know why. My respiratory friend was in the hall. I was like not far down, so he came because he's like, I'm so sorry for earlier today. I didn't mean to get like that with you. And I was like, look, you gotta respect the system. I can't just willy-nilly take somebody off of a dialysis machine because you feel you need to be on there. If you're not short of breath, if it's not a